All right, welcome back. We are live with the one and only Zach from ZMF. Thank you, brother, for joining us.
Hey, Marcello, what's up,
my man?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, anytime. I'm a huge fan of ZMF. I have been since the very beginning of my head-fi journey, so I'm super excited to have you here with us. And how's life been? What's new?
Pretty good, man. I mean, I think what we first knew each other, the first time we connected was in like 2018 or sometime around then. So we had we really got to know each other. We got intimate, and then the pandemic separated us. And now we're back here, and you can't see where my hands are, but we're all good. It's you haven't seen each other for a few years.
What you don't know, you don't need to know what's going on.
I don't know. This is for? Wait, we're supposed to talk about headphones.
Yes, headphones. Yeah. This is about headphones. So what do you got here? Show me and talk to me about what you got here.
Yeah, so this is what was originally called the portable ZMF 19 because I started working on it in like March of 2019 or something like that. And now it's September 2023.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all of my projects take a long time because I'm always working on a few of them, and everything's incremental. And I also need like headspace break when I'm doing a lot of work on a headphone where, you listen to something too much and then you start to feel bad about yourself, and then you don't want to listen to headphones ever again, and then you'll get back to it and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I was working on this project. So 4 years plus, and it's finally done. We named it, this last week we're naming it the Bokeh or Bokeh.
Depending on how you say it.
Depending on how you say it.
Tyler and I were talking about that earlier. I've always said Bokeh, but
I went to film school and I never heard anyone say Bokeh. But if Bokeh is the way to say it, then I will say Bokeh, but it's Bokeh.
I've always said
And the idea
Bokeh.
is that when you have these headphones on, the rest of the world will just fade into a blurry mess. But the headphones will sound clear and good.
I love that.
That's the story my
all the
graphic designer said would work.
No, I like it. It makes total sense as a photographer and a cinematographer. It makes total sense to me.
And it's closed.
Yes.
It's closed, and because of that, Bokeh.
Which makes sense, to isolate you from the rest of the world, the background, the noise in the world. I like that.
And the reason it's a different design for us is because it, obviously it's oval shaped, but also has a LCP driver that has this, white membrane. LCP stands for liquid crystal polymer, and it's a little easier to drive just in that the sensitivity is right at, that 100 to 103 milliwatts per dB. And so you don't need a ton to drive it, although it does scale a lot with better amps. It's got the 1/8 inch input, and I know the code name was that for the project was Portable 19. It's still a medium-ish big headphone. It's light, a little lighter. Yeah.
I held it earlier. I snuck into your room for a brief minute with Tyler, and he brought me over there, and I held it. And I was impressed. It felt very light.
Yeah, it's a little lighter weight, and we're going to use Limba as the stock wood.
That's what I was going to ask. So
and this is not the stock wood. This is like a piece of camphor burl that I
This looks
had
beautiful.
some splits and stuff in it that I stole for a prototype. But we'll do the whole ZMF thing. We'll have some different woods at some points and all that stuff. It's all wood, metal, leather. So it's very ZMF-y. It's going to be right around $1,000. I think 1,100 or 1,000. I'm still working out the final price.
Right in the mid-fi territory.
But right now, the release date we're looking at is December 8th for probably a run of like 100 to 200 sets, and we'll see how that goes, and then keep making them.
Love it.
And I don't know. It's always weird to have a headphone you've been working on for this long and finally be coming out with it. But I'm excited for people to hear it, and I think it fills kind of a good niche for a closed dynamic.
I love that.
$1,000.
And how do you think it's sound-wise, like the tuning compares to like some of the other headphones in the lineup? Where do you think it sits?
Yeah, it's interesting, and you look at all the tuning curves nowadays that everyone has. You've got obviously the Harman curve, and then everybody's modified version of the curve. Clinical curve, whoever curve. Yeah.
Yep.
And I use those when I tune, but what I was going to say is the 80 ohm driver has a much lighter voice coil, and the LCP membrane's lighter. And I went through all these different materials and diaphragm designs with different rubber surrounds and everything, and found that this driver worked the best, but it works good because it's such a light motor. All the materials are really light, whereas in the high impedance headphones, the materials are heavier.
Right.
And so what I've found is that even though you could tune the frequency the same, even with another closed back,
it's going to sound different.
The sound is very different.
Yep.
And so this frequency response wise, it's got a little more mid bass than like a Harman thing, but you don't really hear it the same way as a more damped higher impedance driver. And so I would say, people will probably hear it closer to a kind of Harman-ish tuning in that manner.
And what about from a sound like towards your other headphones? What do you think it sounds closest to? I mean, obviously everyone's a unique sound you create.
It's like a little less bombastic than an Atticus for sure.
Okay.
But has a little bass bump like that. And it's a little bit like between the Atticus and like an atrium closed in frequency response.
Okay.
And so I'd say frequency response wise it's between those, but it's really its own thing as far as being that lighter membrane. And the LCP membrane has a very like light and nimble sound that makes a closed headphone sound bigger than the space really is, and I think that's why I wanted to use it in the closed. Cool. And we're going to come out with an open version eventually too.
Okay.
But I wanted to do this one first because closed backs are so much harder to tune than open backs. So
I imagine, yeah.
That one should be easier.
You're dealing with all the standing waves inside the cups and everything, and all the stuff going on.
All the things.
Yep. And what do you have here? What is this beauty?
So this is the ZMF Arcadia, Arcadia, and this is a collaboration with JDS Labs, where we did the design and told John, like, hey, this is what we need out of a headphone amp.
Look at that. Ooh, it's freaking awesome.
And I mean, it's all metal.
I like the VU meter on the front. That's sick.
Yeah, that lights up nice when it's on. And it runs low impedance dynamics, high impedance dynamics, and planars really well. It's 2 watts per channel.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it has balanced inputs and single-ended inputs, 3 gain settings, impedance setting between 1 ohm or 47 ohms. We found, we went between a bunch of different impedances, found 47 worked really well for a high impedance headphones, a good sweet spot. And you can also use it for lower impedance headphones if you want to get a warmer sound.
Right. Which sometimes you do, in some cases.
Yeah, so it's a simple amp as far as the functions, but it has a really, really nice, clean yet euphonic sound. We chose an op amp that had a little bit of that euphony and dimension to it for, some space and all that stuff.
Which goes really well with your headphones. So, yeah very cool.
And this will be out right around Black Friday, we're thinking, and then the headphones right around December 8th. So that's the new stuff from ZMF that's coming out this fall. And then I know everybody has been asking me today and repeatedly about the Caldera closed.
The Caldera was one of my highlights from CanJam last year, getting to hear it. I was very enamored with the sound of the Caldera, the regular Caldera. So now people are wanting the closed version. Yeah,
and I've been working on that too, but it's really hard to tune a closed planar with all the energy that it comes from a planar driver. So I have the tuning in a good place, but it's the way I want the energy dissipated that's taking a lot of time, and I don't know. I feel good about it. Maybe let's set a soft date of CanJam New York. Maybe we'll see it, but don't hold me to it.
It's just a target. It's just a target. Yeah. And it could be a moving target. I mean,
it could be.
The reality is as consumers, I think, because we're all consumers of something, right? So as consumers, we don't tend to understand what it takes for the maker, whether it's a creative developer or product maker, which is creative in a lot of ways, or a visual artist, or whatever it is, how much goes into it behind the scenes. And when it's a labor of love, you may go at that for months, going back and forth, trying to figure out how to get it just right, so. But at the same token, your headphones are so loved, everybody just wants more, right? But it's a good problem to have, I guess.
You don't want to come out with so many things that it gets confusing. But we probably will discontinue, or softly discontinue the Atticus when this comes out, because we don't want to have too many headphones in the lineup at a time. But we hope to have a custom shop open within the next couple years where people can order exactly what they want and have those legacy models that we used to make but still have parts for and stuff like that. Because that's kind of my dream of ZMF, is having people be able to get exactly what they want and cater to the esoteric needs that all of us audiophiles get into this for.
That's awesome. Well, and customization is also cool because it allows for one-offs that make that headphone even more unique in a lot of ways, and people love that. Make sure you drop any questions if you guys want into the chat. We will get to your questions. We will go for until about 4:30. So, and then we'll have a hard cutoff. So just get your questions in there now. Let's see, Josh T. Hey Josh, welcome. Josh T says, I love that old school amp vibe.
Yeah, me and Joe Warden's our graphic designer and head of aesthetics at ZMF, along with me, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But he found a lot of these old kind of I think it was airplane board, the control boards.
Right. Yep.
And we really liked that kind of oval shape that a lot of those kind of 40s, 50s, 60s stuff had on it. So we went for an aesthetic that kind of had that kind of vibe to it. And I think it's definitely unique looking.
I like it.
This top it'll fit one of our headphone stands on it well too.
Oh, that's pretty slick.
If you want to put a headphone stand or something on top. Yeah, so that's kind of neat.
What DACs have you paired with this that you found that you really your DACs? Are you still doing sonnets?
So we actually don't sell the sonnet stuff anymore. Okay. But we're gonna start working with Rockna's coming out with some stuff through I think it's called. I don't actually. It's gonna be Rockna's gonna make it, but it's gonna be a special brand they do for kind of headphone centric stuff.
Okay, cool.
So we'll work it with that. I like the JD. We in the room we're running it with the JDS.
Well, yeah, duh, that's right. I guess I should have thought.
The Element fits
obviously,
perfectly
JDS
on top.
would be a logical choice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Does the Bokeh? Okay. All right. So Natarian. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Natarian. Does the Bokeh feature the atrium damping system?
Yeah. So. Most of any headphone that we're working on that we've released since the atrium damping system came out, typically will have some version of it in it. I mean, the atrium damping system, in its most simple ideology, is the driver, a period of space behind the driver air, and then a damper that either is flat or has an arc to it, and then the damping around that arc being in the same radius of it. And so yes, the Bokeh has the atrium damping system in it, or a version of it. And that's the cool thing about the atrium damping system, is that it kind of has given me a platform to adapt with different materials and find the right amount of damping to each headphone. And I think that was a problem for me before I did the atrium damping system, was like, you could give yourself infinite possibilities in how you want to tune a headphone, and I found that worked best for the sound that I'm going for in headphones. So it kind of cut down, instead of taking me 4 years to finish a headphone instead of 10 years where you're trying a million different things, you're trying 400 different things instead, or whatever. Yeah, and so we're gonna try to make these as fast as possible. But we're still. People are asking, how many people work at ZMF? And right now there's 12 or 13 of us in the workshop, including me and Bevan, and then we have 2 guys in the machine shop, which are Nick and Jude, which is part of the JDS Labs building, where we own a lot of the equipment. Right. And we're hoping to get more people in the machine shop. If you're watching this, Nick and Jude, I'm watching you.
Get back to work.
You'll hire somebody to machine more cups, because cups are what make the world go round. But yeah, we're trying to, because we're making all the panels on these. These are rich light panels that we machine. We have a new Celir type headphone stand. There's just so much stuff that we want to make, and we need more guys, Nick and Jude. Don't F with me.
So how, what do you, I know I was talking, I can't remember the maker, but they were saying they could only produce 100 headphones per month, like this other maker. On average, what do you guys think you would do in a perfect world? Or what would you like to do, and what do you think you would?
Right now we do somewhere around, we do around 140 to 170 a month.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and on like a bad month where we're making a lot of mistakes, or
Somebody's
people get sick or something.
Yeah.
We're 130 to 140. Good month we're 160, 170. And that's the thing with these is I don't know what the order velocity is going to be.
Well, at that price point, it could be pretty high.
Yeah, so the good news is we made it a more singular SKU, and just meaning
Right.
it's going to come in a box and you get what you get kind of thing.
Right.
You'll get a couple cables, you'll get some pads in the headphone. But, hopefully we'll have it, I don't know, hopefully it would make enough. But hopefully people like it. I mean, that's the first thing.
I'm pretty sure they will. How well was obviously I received the Caldera very well. I imagine it's been pretty awesome received by everybody so far.
Yeah, the Caldera, of all of our headphones, I think people know I like a specific sound that I tune to, and I think people have really taken to the Caldera because it's a little bit unique for planars, but it still has a very pleasing kind of mid-forward sound, and I think, I don't know, that was my big worry with it. I was going to make something that wasn't unique, for a planar, because there's so many awesome planars out there, and it having kind of a dynamic response and euphonic mids to it, along with the other things that planars are famous for, is what
separation
makes people be like, oh, it is a little different from other planars, for better or worse. But
it's cool.
And I'm working on more planar headphones that'll be lesser expensive. Nothing to replace the Caldera.
Sure.
But
something just lower in the series, basically.
Yeah. So those, next year and a half, year-ish, you'll start to see some other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, lesser price point, more like in the
that's huge. Yeah,
the Auteur range kind of thing.
Tyler and I were talking about that today. We in the last few years, it's been a lot of like flagships. Like headphones are getting so pricey, like $5,000, $6,000.
Flagship culture.
Yeah, it's
flagship culture is over. It's canceled. Cancel flagships. You heard it, Head-Fi. Yeah. It's the Me Too flagship movement.
So
maybe that's not the right way to put it.
I know what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying to say. But the point of what we were talking about is like, mid-fi is still like a healthy segment, and if we think about it, like mid-fi is more within like the most consumers' budget, right? 500 to 1,500 or 500 to 2,000, whatever you categorize mid-fi as. But it's cool to see and hear that you're actually, you have this coming out, which fits in that price category, and you're looking at other options, especially for the planar market.
Yeah, from a business and use, as a consumer and business owner, there's no way to not price things differently based on how much they cost to make. But from a consumer standpoint, there's no reason not to enjoy what you enjoy, and that may be a lesser price thing or a more price thing. And like with this headphone, when I'm building, I'm like, well, I'm not going to throttle the performance based on how much it costs me to make, so I'm just trying to make it as good as it can be, regardless of, I knew the price target was $1,000, but hopefully it seems like a good value.
Right.
If I failed, I'm sorry.
I doubt that's going to happen. Okay, we got a few more questions here, and we got about 10 minutes left before the stream. It says, all right, let's put this up on the broadcast.
Yeah, my LO8.
Hello from Miami.
Malab.
Hello from Miami.
Ma-el-ab.
Loving my Verte open headphones. Yes, sweet headphones.
We love you, Malab.
Let us know which kind you have.
I love my Malab.
Let's see. It says, Perk Dolo, how long does it take to machine a cup?
It depends on the cup. We have a 5-axis machine, so I think by the time you have the cup or the block of wood in there, it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes depending on the model. But the other parts of it is you need the wood to be cured to the right, and then you have to cut the wood to a very specific size. And so most of the wood I have sits for 6 months to 2 years before we machine it. Then we have to cut it to the right size. Then after it's cut, we have to sand it. So the machining is a small part of the process, but the programming for it to be machined, sometimes the engineers yell at me and said, why the hell did you have to design it this way? Does it have to look like this? And then we'll go back and redesign it. So, but once we have everything set and all the jigs, because every side needs a jig too, it only takes 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm actually going to do a video on the machining of the headphones soon because it's a
slow-mo.
Cool, yeah,
slow-mo,
240 frames per second.
FPS. Yeah, baby.
Right at your face.
Yeah, baby. I love it. Let's see. It says, what pad are you going with as default? Will other pads fit dimension-wise? For the, I would assume he's
for the Bokeh.
Yeah, for the Bokeh.
It's going to have Caldera pads.
Okay, cool.
And it's going to be a different version of the Caldera pad that's solid on the outside and solid on the inside with perforations on top. So it'll be a little bit different configuration of the Caldera pad, and then it might be a protein material that we go for its stock because it's just much easier to match the pads that way. I think there's other pads that'll work. I have a secondary design that I'm not sure I'm going to release yet, but the Caldera pads work really well.
Very cool. And then Scott says, Caldera sounds pretty dynamic, and I love it. Yeah, I was a big fan of it, too.
We love you, Scott. Scott, I love you.
And then Scott also says, thick pads, FTW.
The thicker the better.
Let's see. Also from Scott, I haven't gotten into speakers, but the idea of there being a ZMS speaker would probably pull me in. Any goals to dabble?
People always ask me what my favorite speakers are, and I know so much about headphones and so little about. So it's actually kind of embarrassing. So Scott, we're moving into a bigger workshop in the next year, and maybe I'll try to get some speakers.
Play a little
I have a pair of deckwares that I like. I forget what they're called. But Scott, for you, Scott, I'll dabble.
All right, let's see. Okay, hold on. Perp Dolo says, the ZMF website sells a Cayenne IHA 6 amp on your website. Does this amp pair well with your headphones? I've heard it does.
Yeah, no, I really like the IHA 6. And, I mean, the great thing about it is that it has 3 impedances, 1, 10, and 100. And it has the XLR and single-ended outs, and they all work really well. It's one of those amps where you don't have to use the XLR for it to sound really good.
Yeah.
And it has a current and drive button. It's a really versatile amp. It's not the newest thing on the market, but yeah, I always recommend to people to get that because I think at that $600 to $700 price point, it's hard to do much better until you go to like $2,000. And you know, while I think the new ZMF amp is great, it's kind of a slightly more cleaner sound or clinical sound than this, where this has a little more euphony to it. So if you're looking for a more linear sound, I'd actually would recommend the Cayenne amp even over the ZMF one.
That's what I love about Zach. Let's see.
Gotta be honest.
What was your aim for your OTL amp?
I think it's probably talking about the Deckware amp,
the latest
product.
collab, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, with that, it was just working with Steve Deckert of Deckware, who owns Deckware, to come out with the most top of the line, best, all the bells and whistles amp for OTL that he could design. And while I know people compare it to the CSP, which he makes, which is around $1,400, he said, don't even talk about the CSP. There's nothing in it that's like the CSP.
Right. I saw your video you put out.
I guess and I went and looked in it. He did really replace everything inside the amp.
To customize it to make it sound optimal for your headphones.
For our headphones, and to just have all the crazy things that no sane person would put in a amp, and that's why it costs what it does, is because he just bought all the really expensive esoteric parts for it. And my main thing was I wanted it to sound more clean than the CSP version, and to do that he changed and dropped the values of a lot of resistors, gave it less voltage drop, the impedance is lower on it, and then the main thing, I remember when we put the 6N 6P tubes in there, you can also adapt a 5, 6, 8, 7 tube to it. But that was the thing, is I wanted that euphonic, spacious sound, but without any of the bloom that you kind of think about when you think of a classic OTL amp. And so I think that's the thing that for me was really important, was having that OTL sound without the OTL muddy, girthy bottom of the pond dirt
stuck in the mud.
Yeah, you're not. It was able to escape Burning Man on its own before Chris Rock was able to get a ride. The Deckware amp was able to escape even before Chris Rock. So it'll be on TMZ later.
Oh, that's awesome. We got time for a couple more questions. Perp Dolo, let's see. I want an Atticus in a different wood. Is there any way to order in a different wood?
I'm working on that right now. I'm hoping to have a couple different woods for ZMF November. So don't hold me to it. If it doesn't happen, I'm sorry in advance. But I think we should have a couple different ones for November.
And when does that drop in November? When are you going to start?
ZMF November is kind of like becoming a longer and longer thing because we have so much crap. But we'll probably start it mid to late October this year and then do kind of a tiered release where there's different products.
Yeah, that's smart.
But the main dates I think are going to be like end of October. There will be like Auteur, Verite closed stuff, like stabilized, limited edition. The things I'm looking forward to are there's going to be a Shusugi-ban, burst finishes in a few models. So like Atrium closed, Caldera, Atrium open, Verite closed. You'll be able to get, I think, purple and like a lava red burst color on Shusugi-ban finish.
That's awesome.
And then there will be a bunch of stabilized. The release of this guy on December 8th, the release of this on Black Friday, and then we never discount our stuff, but the one time to get a discounted product is the B stock sale, which will be, I believe, on Black Friday or the week before.
Which they're like brand new, anyways. Like, I mean,
I mean, they all just, we work with wood, so there's little tiny splits,
barely noticeable anything. Yeah, I think the first set of headphones I bought from you was on a B stock sale, and they were gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's only aesthetic stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't change the sound. Okay, let's see.
Got
about a minute. I think that pretty much is time. Do you have anything else you want to tell the ZMF fan lovers out there?
No, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for, supporting ZMF. I love the hobby just as much as I did 10 years ago. The business side isn't the most of anything isn't the most fun, but
never is.
Headphones are awesome. Headphones are cool. Headphones are amazing.
So tune in to his emailing list. If you haven't signed up for it, that's the first thing you got to do. Sign up for the email list. You'll get fed all the great sales, all the new products that are coming out. So make sure you opt in. Follow his social channels, all of it. He's got a great YouTube where he gives you behind-the-scenes looks.
If you're ever in we don't sell through dealers in the U.S., but if you're ever in SoCal, the Source AV is an awesome store, and it's one of the best places to listen to gear. So I highly recommend you visit there if you're in California, because there's not a lot of places in America to listen to stuff.
It's true. We do have a pretty big. We have a pretty. I think it's like 10,000 square feet, so it's pretty cool.
10,000 square feet. You might see Elon Musk there.
He has shot from us.
You won't.
He has shot from us, but I don't think you'll see him there.
Jason might be at his house.
We love you guys out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you. We got one more coming up today, so tune in here about around 5 o'clock or so. We'll get rolling with that. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. And you guys, I love you and Bevan. You guys are the best. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate all you guys out there. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon. Peace.